Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder may have been the ones to hit the big threes tonight, but make no mistake about it. It was Keegan Murray who led the Sacramento Kings come back from down 14 in the fourth quarter to ultimately win this game against Houston. The Kings played great. The Golden One Center was rocking. The veterans had really good moments. So why was I feeling like such a Grinch about the Kings offense? Well, I'll explain to you and more right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. Kings win. They beat the Houston Rockets in overtime, 125-124, the final score. A really, really fun night inside of the Golden One Center. The Golden One Center sounded like 2023 again when the Kings made the playoffs, the Beam Team initial, like Beam Team 1 year, right? It was rocking. And it's crazy that almost 16,000 people showed up and made that much noise and were so active and so engaged on a Sunday night for a team that walked into tonight's game 6-22, dead last in the Western Conference. But for tonight, we could forget about the records. We could forget about the frustrations of the season. Well, for the most part, there definitely were some frustrations on this end that we are going to talk about in this podcast. And we could just enjoy what was, again, a very fun, hard-fought Sacramento Kings victory. But I want to make sure something's clear, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Dennis Schroeder, who hit what ended up being the game-winning three. Russell Westbrook, who hit the huge three to tie the game and force overtime. I'm not trying to take it away anything from DeMar DeRozan, who led the Kings in scoring with 27 points. But Keegan Murray was the catalyst to this Sacramento Kings victory tonight. This was not like the total breakout offensive game from Keegan, especially when it comes to three-point shooting that we've been asking for. We know he's capable of more, but it was a massive step in the right direction, right? Keegan has been struggling so much from three-point range, shooting in like the mid to low 20s percentage-wise from three this season, coming off of a game on Saturday night where he was, I think, 0 of 5 from three-point range, and the Kings lost to Portland. He shows up tonight with 26 points, 9 of 14 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point range, and a perfect 5 of 5 from the free throw line. I bring that up because that was one of the challenges from Sacramento Kings head coach Doug Christie after the the Portland loss. He said a lot of times when guys are shooting from three-point range, the worst thing that you can do is send those guys to the free throw line, because once they see a free throw or two go in, that kind of opens up the floodgates for them. They see it go in, they visualize it, they get a little bit of a rhythm. Well, clearly we already knew this. Doug Christie knows what he's talking about in terms of the NBA, because Keegan got to the line 5 times, knocked down all 5 of them, had one of his best shooting performances of the season by far. But in the fourth quarter, Keegan Murray was the one that he was the tip of the spear that led this epic comeback. He had 10 points, 4 of 6 from the field, a perfect 2 of 2 from three-point range, and a steal in the fourth quarter. The Kings were down by 14 points in the fourth. I think there was around 9 minutes remaining or something like that. Now, 14 points is, of course, not insurmountable in the modern NBA, but we'd seen that story how many times so far this season? All right, here's where the Rockets close it out. The Kings put up a good fight for the most part in the second half, and really since the midway part of the second quarter, the Rockets were doing a good job kind of keeping the Kings at arm's length, right, leading by anywhere between 7 to 10, 11 points. The Kings could make up a little bit of ground, but not really that much. Rockets have their largest lead of the ball game, and then the Kings came roaring back, right? Led by Keegan Murray. It actually started with a 5-0 run by Keegan himself. He had a bucket, then he forced a steal, poking the ball away, got out in transition, and knocked down a 3. Like that started that Kings push. The Rockets took a timeout after that. The Kings came out of the timeout, kept their foot on the gas. They came roaring back and cut the lead all the way down to 3. The Rockets lead down to 3 with just over 3 minutes left. But that's where Grinch Matt comes into play. And I'll talk about that more a little bit later because I can't start a podcast after a game like that in any sort of negative way. Keegan played 47 minutes of this game after playing, 40 minutes the night before against Portland. Now, I personally feel as someone who's as banged up as Keegan is, right? I know he hasn't played as many games as everybody else because he missed the first chunk of the season with that hand injury. He's also dealing with like a shoulder injury as well. Like Keegan's banged up, and I know he's important, and I know you're trying to showcase his opportunities as being a top guy or a main option. But we got to take it easy. We're going to kill Keegan Murray at this point, playing him that many minutes. I know those numbers are inflated because of the overtime period, and Keegan is going to play every minute of overtime as long as he's not fouled out of the game or in foul trouble, which of course he wasn't. Keegan playing 47 minutes just shows what kind of a warrior and a workhorse that he is. And once again, defensively, he put in that work. He was guarding Kevin Durant for most of the game. Kevin Durant, I think, finished with 24 points. He was technically the second leading scorer on the Rockets. But Durant worked for every little bit that he got. He was 8 of 21 from the field. 8 of 21. You don't see shooting games like from Kevin Durant that often that are that poor. Keegan Murray did a fantastic job on Kevin Durant for the vast majority of this game. Also spent some time on Jabari Smith Jr., spent some time switching and helping on Alperen Şengün. Like, Keegan is the best defender. He can guard everybody. The Kings need him at times to guard everybody. Keegan was sensational in this game. Sensational. And those threes finally dropped there. Those 2 big threes in the fourth quarter. The Golden One Center absolutely erupted when he knocked down those shots. It's like a finally moment. I can't even imagine how he's feeling seeing those go in. But now we need to see that string together. Okay, did you finally break through? Have the floodgates open, and now that 3-point percentage is going to start to climb back up, not all the way to like 40-41% where we saw his rookie season, but can you climb that out of the mid-20s and get to the mid-30s? Start there. Hopefully Keegan can do it. Hopefully this is the start of something great. But the veterans were, and I need to make sure I lead with this and talk about this first before Grinch Matt shows up. The veterans were very good for the most part. Like, the veterans were very good. DeMar DeRozan led the Kings in scoring, 27 points, 9 of 17 from the field, had 9 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. DeMar had the pass to Dennis Schroeder in the corner when Tari Eason left him wide open in the corner for some reason. He had the pass that resulted in that wide open Schroeder 3 to ultimately win this game for the Kings. Attacked the basket, drew the defense in, saw the angle to get that pass off on the baseline to Schroeder in the corner. Like, a brilliant pass by DeMar. Picture perfect, paint touch, spray 3, Sacramento Kings basketball. Like, it was perfectly executed. And I tip my cap to DeMar because we know that's like DeMar's time in isolation, and he did do that too much. The Kings in general did do that too much, and thankfully they didn't lose the game because of it. Again, that's more of Grinch Matt that is coming out a little bit later on. But I also want to give DeMar DeRozan some love because over the past couple of games, DeMar's been very engaged and very active defensively. I thought he's been making some good plays. Again, 2 steals, 1 block tonight. He had a couple of really good defensive possessions against Durant, and I think he had one where he saved a sure basket from Şengün, stripping the ball from him around the rim. Like, DeMar DeRozan is playing good defense right now. Well, good defense for his standards, which is not meant to be an insult. Like, genuinely, he looks engaged. He's active defensively. So I want to make sure I give DeMar that love. Russell Westbrook, 21 points, 8 of 24 from the field, 5 of 12 from 3-point range, 13 rebounds. He, of course, hit the big 3 in transition, no hesitation, knocked it down to send this game into overtime. Anytime you're getting 5 3-pointers from Russell Westbrook, that's certainly a good thing. Russ, I mean, we know who he is. He's the Energizer Bunny, right? And he came out of the gate red hot. The Kings actually got off to a 14-4 start in this game, largely led by Russell Westbrook. Russ had like 8 points in the first couple of minutes. And it's no surprise to anybody that Russ came to play when he's facing off against his former teammate turned kind of rival in Kevin Durant. But want to make sure I give Russ some love too, because I'm going to be critical of him later on in the pod. And then Dennis Schroeder, 24 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, a near triple-double coming in off the bench. And he showed off that Team Germany clutch gene, right? We got a glimpse of, this was FIBA Dennis Schroeder tonight. This was international play, the guy that's led Germany to to multiple trophies, multiple national championships, from Eurobasket this past summer to the Olympics or whatever, the World Cup or whatever it was. Dennis it was good to see. And Dennis showed up in a major way. I actually posted a video of it, and you can check it out on my Twitter right now, @MattGeorgeSack. Dennis hits that game winner, and I'm keeping it trained on him for the celebration. And Tari Eason is actually walking past him after the Rockets call timeout. And Dennis is like stopping Tari and telling him how he should have guarded Den. Like, you shouldn't have left me in that corner. Here's what you were supposed to do. That's so like classic Dennis Schroeder. The Kings have all of a sudden started stringing together good performances. The most competitive basketball they've played game after game after game in a 3-game stretch that we've seen so far this season. That's not a coincidence. I'll talk about that. Plus, what is it about the Kings that is making me a Grinch tonight? I want to talk about Keon Ellis getting benched in this game. Malik Monk only playing 5 minutes, but the ovation that he got said a lot. And I also thought Maxime Raynaud, this was a very valuable learning experience game for him. That's all still to come here on Locked On Kings. Before that, though, this episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, then beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. 3 games in a row where Sacramento Kings basketball has, for the most part, been a lot of fun to watch. Sure, there have been lulls, there have been bad moments, bad possessions, frustrating times, of course, over these last 3 games. And the Kings are 1-2 over these last 3 games. But what we're seeing is, for a 3-game stretch, a consistent level of fight and a very active, like very high level of competitiveness, right? The Kings are competing with everybody. And what I really liked about this game, not just the fact that the Kings won it, but like they went toe-to-toe with the Houston Rockets, who came into this game 5th place in the Western Conference. I'm not sure if they're still there. I haven't checked. But they came into this game. They're one of the better teams in the West. And the West, of course, is very competitive. One of the better teams in the NBA. And the Kings lost 5 straight. Their last 2 losses against the Portland Trailblazers. One of the games went to overtime. They nearly stole it. Arguably should have won it. They had it won until the referee decided, nope, you don't get to win this game. And then they lost by a pretty comfortable margin to the Blazers at home the night before. And everybody's going, oh, yeah, like the Kings are playing better in these last 2 games. The young guys are playing well. Maxime did this, blah, 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 blah. But it's the Portland Trailblazers, just the Blazers, right? It's just the Blazers. Like, the Blazers are a fine team, but they're not a great team. Like, when they play some real competition, like, they're not going to be. It's just the Blazers. And I like that the Kings should, the opponent doesn't matter. Like, it's what's important is how the Kings are playing. The fight. And that's very clear. And I don't think at all that it's a coincidence that we're seeing this with the young guys getting more playing time. Now, that does not mean that the young guys are better basketball players than the veterans, who are getting a large amount of the minutes to begin the season. Of course, Zach LaVine's not playing right now. I think his absence does have a big impact on the competitiveness of the Sacramento Kings right now in a positive way. Domantas Sabonis isn't playing right now. So there's a lot of very important pieces out. And Doug Christie has made sure to point out, like, the Kings not once this season have ever had their ideal starting 5 available due to injury. Not once this season. So I don't think it's a coincidence at all that the Kings are playing better with the young guys playing more. Why? It's because there's a clear, different level of motivation with this team right now. When a good chunk of the guys that are playing a valuable chunk of minutes all are playing out there because they have either something to prove, or they're trying to develop themselves and adapt to the NBA game. Right, you've got Keegan Murray, who's playing and trying to show, 1, that he's worth the $25 million per year contract that he just got, and 2, that he's capable of being more of a featured member of the offense. You've got Nick Clifford, who was drafted 24th overall, who's trying to live up to the expectations that come with being a first-round pick, dealing with being a rookie. Plus, remember, the Sacramento Kings traded into the first round to go and get him. You have Maxime Raynaud, who's the second-round pick, who knows he's going to have to work and fight to really earn his spot in the NBA, and he's doing that. And I can say the same thing about Dylan Cardwell, who's been fantastic in these last few games as that two-way, just energy, rim-protecting center off of the bench, right? All these guys are playing with a chip on their shoulder, playing with something to prove. And I see that feeding, the rest of the team is feeding off of that, right? We're not seeing this team fall behind by massive deficits early in games and then just folding or quitting or not being able to work their way back into it. This team has fallen behind by double digits, I think, in all three of these games that they've played over the last three, but they've kept fighting. They've battled back in tonight's game. Granted, it was the veterans that were leading a lot of it, but they found a way. They found a way to close it out. So I think Kings fans should be very encouraged by that. So Matt, the Kings won. The beam is lit. The energy was great inside the Golden One Center. Why are you such a Grinch tonight? Why were you such a Grinch on social media? What's going on? What's wrong? Again, I want to preface this by saying Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan both played well and have, for the most part, good numbers. And both were very impactful and very important to the Kings actually closing this game out and winning this game. And I understand some people are going to interpret this as no matter what they do, they're going to get hate from Matt George because he doesn't like the veterans, blah, blah, blah. Like I ask that you don't be like, that you just listen to what I'm trying to say here and understand what I'm trying to say, because this is not meant to blame those guys in any kind of way. This is just the perspective of how I am looking at this team going forward and what to me is the most important thing for this team going forward. This entire night, this entire game, I'm there inside the Golden One Center. I'm watching every possession. It was blatantly obvious that while both DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook were on the floor, the Houston Rockets were more than happy to let them go ISO and let them shoot. The Rockets were just fine with Russell Westbrook shooting 24 times in this game. Just fine with Russell Westbrook taking 12 threes. More often than not, that's a good gamble to take for any team. They were happy with it. They were leaving Russ wide open for three. He knocked down 5 of them, including a big one when it mattered most to send this game to overtime. All credit to him. But it was very, very clear. The Rockets were like, yes, we dare you. We dare you. Russ taking 24 shots. DeRozan taking 17 shots. What was that? 41 shots between the two of them? Way too much. Way too much for a team that's now 7-22, but has pivoted and changed their outlook on what this season is for. This team is not climbing out of this hole. They're 15 or 14 or whatever games under 500. The season's cooked. What's important for this team going forward is developing your young guys and giving guys who may not have opportunities again to showcase what they can do offensively, giving them that opportunity now. That's what this time is about. I'm sorry, but when those two are on the floor together, the ball has not moved as well as it does when only one of them are on the floor. Again, I'm not saying it's both of their faults and it's all their fault. I'm saying when Russ and DeMar DeRozan are on the floor, it gets too sticky. It's too much either isolation ball or just limited pick and roll while everybody else stands around and watches. But what we're seeing is when Dennis Schroeder is out there with DeMar and then the young guys, or sometimes all young guys, the ball moves better. Nick Clifford has looked better offensively. Keegan Murray has looked better offensively. Maxime Raynaud has at times looked better offensively, although to be fair, Max has looked really good in the pick and roll with Russell Westbrook as well. The ball moves better when only one of them is on the floor, not both of them. We saw that point blank in this game. If Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan are both taking 17 to 24 shots or whatever, and they're winning you a game on the backs of both of them scoring 30 points and turning back the clock to 2016. Okay, it's fun, I guess, but it doesn't really do anything for the Kings. It doesn't matter for the Kings other than, hey, we lit the beam. Woo. This win tonight matters more because Keegan got them back in it. It's because Maxime Raynaud finished with another double-double and had a really good learning experience in this game. The young guys, Nick Clifford was on the floor during that big push in the fourth quarter when the Kings made their comeback. So this win has value. But if it had just been the DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook show, like the amount of shot attempts suggest it could have been, the Kings winning, it wouldn't have mattered even if they beat the Rockets by 15. Who cares? Look, Russell Westbrook was not on the floor when the Kings made that big comeback. Again, I'm not saying it's because Russell Westbrook that the Kings were down by 14 in the first place. That's not what I'm saying at all. Listen to what I'm saying. When both of them were on the floor offensively and defensively, it was not working for Sacramento. It wasn't. Both of them may have had good individual numbers, but when both of them were on the floor, more often than not, it was not working. DeMar was out there on the floor. Russ was not. When the Kings had better defense, leading to transition offense, more opportunities for Keegan Murray, who got hot in the fourth quarter. And then what happened with Russell Westbrook came back into the game with 3 minutes remaining. For the remainder of those final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, nobody outside of Russ and DeRozan took a shot. Now, granted, Russ made the big three, and DeRozan made some big shots to force overtime. So I give them the credit. It worked tonight. But more often than not this season, it has not worked. And what really frustrates me, even with the Kings' victory, what really frustrates me is Keegan Murray got hot. Keegan Murray was the hot hand for this Kings team. He led Sacramento back in this game. And from the 4-minute and 24-second mark of the fourth quarter through the entire overtime period, Keegan Murray took one shot. They won the game. DeMar hit big shots. Russ hit big shots. Appreciate them. All credit to them. I know that is their time as veterans, and they're just trying to be the competitors that they are and have always been and win these basketball games. I get it. I understand it. I am analyzing this from what's important for the Sacramento Kings going forward. It's not DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook. It's, wow, Keegan just led you back in. Here's an opportunity for him to continue to potentially win or lose this game for you. And you gave him one shot over the final almost 10 minutes of basketball. Granted, he played great defense on Kevin Durant, and his defense was essential in the Sacramento Kings winning this game. And I also acknowledge the fact that, look, the Rockets are a really good defensive team. So as Keegan got hotter, they tried to take him out of it or not let him catch the ball as much, not let him get as many good looks. And maybe that opened up more opportunity for a guy named Russ or a guy named DeMar or Dennis Schroeder to get better looks because they were focused on Keegan. Maybe that's the case, although I don't think they were giving Keegan that much respect. I think the Kings went away from Keegan Murray when they didn't have to, when they weren't supposed to. They resulted in isolation ball a little bit too much, and they're just fortunate that tonight the shots went down. Because more often than not this season, the shots haven't dropped. And had the Kings lost this game with Keegan only taking one more shot over those final almost 10 minutes, I would have been really, really frustrated. But they didn't. They won. So I can put the Grinch aside. There's plenty of time later in this season to get frustrated about who's shooting, who's not in the Kings offense. And I can enjoy this one for what it was. So that's what we're going to do. But we do have to talk about Keon, Ellis, Malik Monk, and Maxime Raynaud before we wrap up. That's all still coming here on Locked On Kings. Like I said at the top of the show, this episode of Locked On Kings is also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, the defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. You got live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. So Keon Ellis got benched in this game. For the third straight game, it looked like Doug was continuing with this new rotation, trying something new. Malik taking a back seat, getting a DNP, and Keon Ellis, you're going to get those minutes with that second unit in that backup two-guard spot coming in off the bench. Keon Ellis played 9 minutes in the first half, and he struggled. He wasn't good again. I'm sorry. Keon Ellis fans, don't get mad at me. I'm sorry. He wasn't good. Like when Keon, what got Keon to this point, what made Keon a fan favorite in Sacramento, what got him his NBA contract was the fact that he was undeniably making an impact every time he stepped on the floor. Sure, he had moments when he struggled, but more often than not, when Keon Ellis stepped onto the floor, he made an impact, and it was impossible to miss. Impossible to miss. Everybody saw it. Are we seeing that from Keon consistently this season, or really more than a handful of times, period? No, we're not. We saw it in Portland a couple nights ago. That was good. And then he followed it up with not playing well against Portland on Saturday. Didn't play well against the Rockets tonight. And then on top of that, the last time we saw Keon Ellis on the floor, he fouled, was Jabari Smith, it was Reed Shepherd, somebody. He fouled somebody for no reason at the end of the second quarter, right before the halftime buzzer. I know he's trying to play defense, but Keon has had a problem with fouling three-point shooters his entire NBA career to this point. Now, more often than not, when he's playing well and he's stealing and getting steals and hitting threes, like you can put up with it. You can live with it. But he hasn't been. And that was a dumb foul at the end of the half. So what happens? Doug Christie benches him. Doug Christie did not play him for the second half. Malik Monk got 5 minutes. A 5-minute stretch. When he checked into the game, other than at the time, because it was before the fourth quarter comeback in the overtime period, the loudest pop of the night was when Malik Monk checked in. That crowd of almost 16,000 gave him a massive ovation, further proving that Malik is still the most popular player on this Kings roster. Don't know how much longer he's going to be here. During those 5 minutes, he played fine, had a bucket. Doug Christie said that after the game, he pulled Malik aside and said, just thank you for being a pro and for staying ready, because he gave the Kings 5 important minutes in that second half after not playing a single second the 2 games before that. Look, if it really is Monk versus Keon for playing time, and that's the way it is, I know you could argue, have Russ play more, have DeMar play more, or play less. I get it. I know what you're saying. It's just, it's not going to happen. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So if it really is Malik Monk versus Keon Ellis for playing time, one of them is going to get it and one of them is not. It's hard to argue against Malik Monk deserving it more than Keon right now. I know Keon might be more of a part of your future, although at this point, is he? Like, are the Kings not going to just try and move him at the deadline? They probably should at this point. I don't know if they should feel, I mean, they say they feel good about being able to retain him. I don't know if I would. I know more of who Malik Monk is, I think. Although I think the Kings are also going to really actively try and move Malik Monk at this deadline. Maybe both of them are gone and this isn't a problem anymore. And then Nick Clifford gets all those minutes, or Devin Carter. I don't know. But if right now, while these two are on the roster for the foreseeable future, if it's Monk versus Keon for playing time, I think Malik won it back tonight, even with 5 minutes. Sorry, Keon Ellis fans. I know you're going to be mad at me. I love Keon too. But he's not outplaying Malik right now. And Malik hasn't been that great either. But the energy changes when Malik checks into the game. And it used to be that way for Keon, but it just hasn't been much this season. I don't fully blame him for that because he's been very inconsistent in and out of the rotation. So the Kings have to wear some of that too. But he just doesn't look right. He just doesn't look the same. And if the Kings and Doug go back to Malik, I wouldn't blame them for it. Really quickly before we wrap up, I want to give some flowers to Maxime Raynaud. Another double-double for him, 12 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 14 rebounds, fouled out of this game. He fouled out of the game in overtime. And actually, Doug Christie gave him a big hug and said he told him he loved him after he fouled out because he played hard, he played physical, he fouled out playing physical. And here's what I love about this game from Max. Alperen Sengun bullied the heck out of him in the first half. Completely, but like pushed him around. There was a play where Sengun attacked the basket. Max is taller than Sengun, but don't matter. Sengun went right into Max's chest and knocked Max back like 2-3 feet, and it resulted in an easy layup at the rim. Like completely bodied Maxime Raynaud. Sengun is a really, 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 really good NBA player. Very, very good for the Houston Rockets. Has a very bright career ahead of him and was really good in this game. Had 18 points at the half. He scored 10 points the remainder of the game. Now, I'm not saying, all of a sudden Maxime Raynaud put the clamps on him or anything like that. No, but Max adjusted. He battled. He fought. He played hard. This is a great learning experience. You have one of the better young centers in the league or bigs in the league going toe for toe with you and pushing you around. You made some adjustments at halftime. You came back out and you did not lose this game because Alperen Şengün took over. It looked like Şengün was well on his way to a 35, 40-point night with how he was playing in the first half. Again, for the remainder of the game, that's the third and fourth quarters and overtime, he scored just 10 points. So credit to Maxime Raynaud. Good fight by him. Of course, things could get better with him too. He made some mistakes in this game, but Max is learning. We're seeing the growth in real time, which is really exciting. All right, I want to hear from you. Am I being too grumpy, too much of a Grinch, or do you understand where I'm coming from? Let me know. Hit me up with that. You want to talk about Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Dennis Schroeder, Malik Monk, Keon, Ellis, Russell Westbrook, whoever. Let's talk about it. At Matt George Sack on Twitter. Email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com. Leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. On Tuesday, we got Kings and Pistons inside the Golden One Center. Hopefully that goes better than the last time the Pistons were here in Sacramento. If you don't remember, look it up. I'll have a post-game pod after that. We'll be in the Golden One Center for that. Shout out to all of you who I met and saw and got to talk to at the Golden One Center tonight. Appreciate you guys so much for all your support. As always, can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.